Oh, no, I changed, my call got changed, so I plan to do the 5:30. Okay, now I'm thinking about the next week now.
Right, no, okay. Do we know if Great Hydro is coming?
No, I
I
don't.
emailed them a Zoom link this afternoon too, so
That's what we're doing first.
we're going through in alphabetical order after Great Hydro and the same way that we were before. So it's gonna go Great Hydro, Cavanaugh, Flanagan, Kitchel.
But Great Hydro's not here. Anyway,
They don't need to be here.
I know. So we are reopening the Great Hydro hearing. It is October 6th at 5:04 PM. Inspection Committee, would you like to present your report?
Does anyone need copies of the inspection reports? Would you like a copy? Hang on, listers.
If it's possible.
Absolutely.
Appropriate.
I made so many.
You don't need one.
Well,
You don't need one.
Would you like to speak to Great Hydro?
read what I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, copy. Okay,
Suzanne, the floor is yours.
all right.
Are we recording?
We are
Yes.
recording, yes.
Okay. To the Board of Civil Authorities, site inspection report for Great River Hydro LLC. Report to, going forward as GRH. Flowage and flood zones, Norwich, Vermont. Inspection committee, Suzanne Leiter, Kristen, Lily Tryman. No representative of GRH accompanied the inspection committee, and there were no visitors present. The inspection committee visited portions of the GRH flowage and flood zones on September 26th at 5 p.m. The visit started at the Ledger Bridge. From the Lewiston parking lot, the inspection committee crossed the road to view the river bank, which descends about 8 feet quite steeply to the river. The land on the other side of Route 5 portrayed as dry land on the Great River Hydro LLC map provided by Sanssouci Associates, the firm which provided the study for KRT assessors, and identified as FERC drawing number P-1892XXX is not shown on the flowage and flood zone maps dated 3/15/2018. That land rises quite steeply towards I-91. The committee drove along the river while following the maps provided by Sanssouci Associates, as well as the flowage and flood zone maps dated 3/15/2018, provided by GRH. A large area is portrayed as dry land on the Sanssouci maps to the south of Church Street and on the easterly side of I-91. So a large area, I think I have something's missing there, but it rises quite steeply to I-91. The inspection committee viewed the area around Patchen's Point. The land is elevated above the river, but seemed quite stable. An exception was the area near two rope swings. That area has seen some sharp erosion from recent heavy rains. There's another large area mapped as dry land from the Sanssouci maps, but not on the 3/15/2018 map on the westerly side of Route 5 and largely to the east of Butternut Road, as well as another area to the south of Hemlock Road. The inspection committee continued along the river and viewed the mapped areas along both sides of the road along Kendall Station Road and areas along both sides of the Pompanousek River. There's another large area to the west of Route 5 and just to the south of the Thetford town line that is not on the 3/15/2018 map.
Questions from this table here for anyone? Okay, then. Comments from the appellant, who is not present, comments from the listers.
Well, listeners just want to restate to the fact that, in order for there to be a proper assessment of these flowage rights, that the KRT had to hire a professional firm in order to do that and pay $10,000 for that professional opinion to get to an assessment. So that's just what we want to remind the BCA.
Who paid the 10,000?
KRT.
It came out of their,
Okay.
appropriation for the cost of the reappraisal.
So we didn't pay extra.
No, we did not pay that. So we're paying them and they use whatever funds they have
Gotcha.
for that assessment.
If there are no further comments, we're gonna close the hearing and enter deliberative session, and we will issue a decision in writing within 15 days. Oh,
So we're not,
all right, we need to vote to accept the inspection report. Motion,
I move to accept the inspection report of Great River Hydro.
those in favor?
You need a second? Who seconded?
oh, I
Suzanne
said
said
you
it
need a
first.
second, can I second?
Sure.
Okay, second. All those in favor?
All those in favor?
In favor. You now.
And we'll try again. Now we'll close the hearing and explain that we will enter deliberative session and issue a decision in writing within 15 days. So first one is adjourned. Come on down.
So when we need to move to adjourn in second? Later.
After we-
Just later.
No, it does says something about that. I think we just do. Okay.
Later, Christina, okay, I forgot to unmute, start again.
To the Board of Civil Authority Site Inspection Report for Cavanaugh Riley, 119 Barbara Lee Lane, parcel ID 05-146.200. Inspection Committee Suzanne Leiter, Kristen Maffei, Lily Trotman. The inspection committee was accompanied by Evan Cavanaugh. There were no listers present. The inspection committee visited 119 Barbara Lee Lane on September 26th at 4 p.m. The subject property is a two-story contemporary built in 2024 on 9.56 acres. It consists of a clapboard exterior with 2 of the exterior doors lacking stairs to the yard. It has 8 total rooms, 3 bedrooms, 1 full bath, 2 3/4 baths, and 1 half bath. The walkout basement has a concrete floor. The basement is mostly finished but does not have sheetrock on the walls. There is no garage associated with the property. The house site consists of a rocky ledge and steep slope to the road. There is very little flat land surrounding the home.
Questions from this table for the inspection committee or others? No. Final comments from the Cavanaugh
For the inspection or just final comments in general?
in general.
May I read something I wrote? I'll be
Sure.
brief. For our appeal on the 17th, I did not receive the listener's packet beforehand to prepare properly. We learned later that my email address had been typed incorrectly. Mistakes happen, that's okay. But I'd like to address a few of the comments now that I've had time to prepare. A reminder that our appeal has been largely based on an independent appraisal of our home, which valued it at 1.08 million on March 16th, so within a few days of the KRT assessment. In the listeners' note for the last appeal, they wrote, and I quote, "To address the fair market value, the appellant provided an appraisal that was conducted by Wells River Savings Bank for the purpose of finance," end quote. That is false. The appraisal was not conducted by a bank. You can see on page 3 of the appraisal, which you all have, that Sylvia Rogers is an independent certified general appraiser. Her company is called Sylvia Rogers Real Estate Appraisal. I'll continue. The listers also wrote, and I quote, "Bank appraisals are conservative as they're based on sales within a certain price range to determine the amount the bank is willing to finance," end quote. I don't agree with this statement, and it actually challenges the motives of someone who's not here. If you look at page 3 again of the appraisal, I'm going to read 2 lines that Sylvia signed under. "The reported analysis, opinions, and conclusions are limited only by the reported assumptions and limited conditions that are my personal, impartial, unbiased professional analysis, opinions, and conclusions. I have no bias with respect to the property that is the subject of this report or the parties involved with this assignment. In summary, to state that the bank conducted the appraisal or that there were biased motives, I don't think is appropriate." Lastly, on the comparables that were provided by KRT, I'm just going to touch on each of them very briefly. 82 Hobson Road, that's located in town with a village residential zoning. I believe comparables should be based on the same zoning code. We are not in that zone. 440 Beaver Meadow Road has a building value of $967K. I actually think that's probably very close to our building value. The reason their total property is up in the range of 1.5 million is that they're on 42 acres. That's 4.5 times the land of ours. So again, I do think that that building value is actually probably pretty close, which would bring our assessment down tremendously. 2 more here. 137 Hobson and 68 Wiley. Those are both higher grades than ours and higher build grades, that is, and higher interior finish factors than our home. So I don't believe that those are accurate comparisons. And then the final one on there was 228 Bradley Hill. I believe the owner of that home will be here today to appeal. I don't think it's fair to use a comp of someone else who is also appealing this process as a fair comp to us. I'm going to end with just 2 quotes here. In Sylvia's appraisal here, she has, and she's based in White River Junction. She's been doing this for decades. She has the definition of market value as the most probable price which a property should bring in a competitive and open market under all conditions requisite to a fair sale. Lastly, in the KRT packet, which everybody in town got, they have fair market value to be best described as the price you might reasonably expect to receive upon sale of your property in a fair arm's length transaction. So my summary here is that it feels like both of those appraising parties have a very similar goal in arriving at a value. And personally, I put a lot more faith in the person who's been doing this locally for decades in our community. Thank you.
Comments from the listers?
Yes, thank you. Well, one of the items we wanted to remind the BCA about, we did not note it in the draft minutes, that we did acknowledge that there was an error with the garage on the card, and that we recommended removing that from the assessment. So that we did come up with a number that was corrected at the bottom of our memo. To the points made by the appellant, if you look at the top of the Uniform Residential Appraisal Report, it says that it is for a range of sale prices from $952,000 to $1,286,000. So there is a range used for this report, and the page 5, yeah, page 6 of the Uniform Residential Appraisal Report states that company name for this was Wells River Savings Bank. And so that's who paid for the appraisal, according to what we could read from this document. And that's typically what happens is the banks want an appraisal done, they have several appraisal firms, and the first one available will typically grab, the work to be done next and do that appraisal for the bank for financing purposes. So that's why we brought that up in our comments.
May I briefly?
Quickly,
Yes, Old River's on here, they are the lender. I believe it was a $400 fee we paid as the homeowner. And then lastly, the range that at the top was determined based on their assessment of the prices that we had paid to build the home. That's what set the range from the beginning.
Again, we stand by our comment.
Yep.
Was a bank requested, bank ordered, and in a settlement, the borrower pays that fee for that, to be done.
Gotcha.
Those are the comments we have.
motion to accept the inspection report. Fran makes the motion. Second. Suzanne seconds. All those in favor? Aye, inspection report received. At this point, we are going to adjourn. We'll enter into deliberative session and you'll get a result in writing within 15 days. You're welcome. Well,
Flanagan is next.
those are here.
I don't know if Flanagan is gonna come.
We are hesitant.
Yes, we are.
But
I'm not complaining, but.
Well, they get until their time to show up, so
Yeah.
we can't.
Go ahead.
Okay. Three meeting, we're back in.
Ladies, we're gonna reopen the Flanagan hearing on October sixth at 5:30. And would the inspection committee, AKA Dave, like to, present the inspection report?
I will need it because I don't have it in front of me. So the inspection committee was accompanied by Carolyn Flanagan, Malowski, the owner. There were no listers present. The inspection committee visited 153 Delta Drive on Thursday, 9/25 at 3 p.m. The subject property is a 1.5-story Cape style house built in 1997 on 5.33 acres of land. It consists of a vinyl exterior with 4 total rooms, 2 bedrooms, and 1 full bath. The walkout basement contains a 12 by 24-foot room that has vinyl flooring and is 90% finished, trim missing. Other parts of the basement has concrete floors and a wood stove. It is insulated and has lighting. The first floor has half vinyl flooring and half painted plywood flooring. It consists of an open living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, and the full bathroom. The second floor is unfinished with a subfloor and basic electric running to an overhead light. It has no outlets, insulation, or sheetrock. There is a detached, unheated 2-car garage measuring 26 by 28. In addition, there are 2 12 by 24-foot sheds, 1 freestanding, and 1 freestanding lean-to less than 100 square feet, and a mobile chicken coop. There is an easement granting a right-of-way shared by 4 other lots in the subdivision from the edge of Wallace Road to the termination of Delta Drive in a cul-de-sac. The easement bisects 1 lot and runs along the intersection of lots 2, 3, the appellant's lot, and 4 and 5.
Any questions from those sitting at this table? If there is a no, Alan is not here. Do the listers have anything to add?
The listers have 2 questions from reviewing the report. One is, has the BCA received the deed stating that there's an easement?
I added that to, information online.
Pardon?
It's in the information online.
It is,
Yeah.
okay, so you got to see the deed showing the easement, thank you. And secondly, there is not a notation of topography adjustment or a topography description. And we note that there is a topography adjustment on this land, 4.3 acres of the land. And wondered if that was noticed or was it not, just as you think about your deliberations.
Okay, do you need an answer to that, or you just want us to acknowledge that there is a topo adjustment and consider it when you're doing this?
Right, we're noting there's a topo adjustment for something.
Yep.
And
Got it,
you don't note it in your report,
okay.
okay?
And there was a notation in the earlier report about topography issues, and because there's nothing in this report, this inspection report, we're wondering, did the BCA take note of any topography issues that would justify a reduction?
Which report are you referencing? The
Cavanaugh, that there was something.
Gotcha, okay.
What about steep ledge and not
I understand.
flat land?
Right.
Nothing in this report, so the question is, did you make note of anything that would justify a 20% reduction for topography at that
Gotcha.
parcel?
Yeah.
Okay. Comments? I mean, we noticed the topography. It's not in the report. Question I would have is whether, we think we should modify the report to include that before Making a motion to accept it.
Well,
Topography was not an issue in the appellant's
Right,
case.
right, but the report should be back for us, so.
I did not know that topography was particularly of note in terms of this.
Right, well, it's the, rock and water factor.
I mean, they have a 20% topo adjustment already.
Right. The question is, did we acknowledge that when we did the inspection? And we did, because they already have, an unbuildable section of the property because of the moisture in the rock face, so. But we didn't put that in the report. So my question again to this table is if we would like to modify the report before putting it in the record.
I am happy to add a description of the topography if you would like to dictate one.
Okay, let's do that. Let's see. Inspection committee, noted the, unbuildable section of the property based on, I don't know if we want to call it moisture, it's rock. That justifies what?
It was slow.
It was slow, but it was also really wet, which I think was the basis of the topo to begin with.
And wetlands is a category of adjustment.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think originally it says that, not in our report, but in stuff that I read about their property.
And it could be that's what this is for.
So an unbuildable section of property based on moisture concerns, underlying geography,
Right.
to geology, underlying geology.
That sounds good.
And a gentle slope of land on the house site.
I would just say a slope.
Yeah.
All right, so amended, that would read. The inspection committee noted the unbuildable section of property based on underlying geology and a slope of land on the house site.
That doesn't say about moisture. Did we want to put moisture in there?
Yes.
How do I add that?
Noted the unbuildable section are based on underlying geology in parentheses, water table.
Well, we all,
For moisture.
concerned about rock.
Yep. But those are both incorporated by the word geology too.
Okay.
Okay,
Motion to approve report as, edited. Suzanne makes a motion.
I will second
Dave
that.
seconds. Those in favor? Aye. We are going to close this hearing and enter deliberative session and will issue a decision in writing within 15 days. Period. Moot. Okay, we are reopening the Guo hearing at 5:40 on the 6th of October. Yeah, hold on. Yes, it is. And I think that I should present that one. I've got it in front of me, thank you. So the site inspection report for the Guo Zhang family at 139 Hemlock Road, parcel ID 12-006-110. The inspection committee consisted of Alix Manny, David Krimmel, Priscilla Vincent. The inspection committee was accompanied by, the homeowners, and there were no listers present. The inspection committee visited 139 Hemlock Road on Monday, September 29th at 4. The subject property is a 1 3/4 story vinyl clad cape built in approximately 2007 on 2.14 acres of land. The house consists of 4 finished rooms, including 2 bedrooms, a living room, fireplace, laundry, kitchen, dining area, 2 full baths and 1 3/4 bath, and an attached 2-car garage. There are wood floors throughout the finished portion of the house. The 2-bay garage has a concrete floor and is unfinished. There's an unfinished loft space accessed by a ladder that is 14 by 26 with plywood flooring. There's a full basement with a concrete floor, ceiling lights, insulated walls with vapor barrier, but no wall outlets. The second floor is 1/3 finished with a bedroom and full bath. The remaining 2/3 are unfinished. The unfinished space has insulation, a vapor barrier, electrical outlets, and a plywood floor. The heating system is forced hot water with an oil fired furnace, and there are no outbuildings. Questions from the BCA RE the report? No questions.
Does it matter if these areas are heated or not?
If-
Unfinished parts? Am I asking the right question? Or
That's
am I-
part of our deliberations down the road.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
Would the appellants like to add anything?
Right. Thank you, members of the board. So I'd just like to restate the core basis of our appeal and, address some of the points. First, and I think our primary argument is that under Vermont law, the property assessment must reflect the fair market value. In our case, the most reliable indicator is the arm's length transaction 8 months before reassessment. It was concluded through a public listing and competitive bidding. The sale price represents the true market value. I think if you have any questions about the process of the bidding, which real estate agent, and through what process, I think we can definitely provide more information on that. The point is that, this is a sale to public market. The goal is to find fair market value. There's no better evidence than the transaction that included a short while, less than a year. The market conditions ever since the transaction have not changed. If anything, the market trend that it went downward rather than surprisingly the mortgage market. So the market has always been increasing, but not in the past year, it even went down a little bit. So, there's, no reasonable basis to increase the asset value by that much, nearly 40%. So, I don't think the listers provided justification for such significant change. And that's a legal requirement, and we don't think that's justified. Let me just add that we're new in Norwich and love the town as well as the kind neighbors who meet classmates and town activities. We love the place. It's our primary residence. We live here. We love to really to be here and long-term our kids love the place. This change does give us like not a very good feeling. I almost feel like what happened, why? So I respectfully ask the members to consider. Second, about the factual errors we asked the board to address, correct, about particularly the unfinished areas. I think there was a question about, you know, what constitutes unfinished area? Is there a definition? Is there consensus? Is it clear? Out of curiosity, I kind of did some research. I think it's probably will help the board to deliberate. It turned out a very simple definition. So there's no gray area between finished and unfinished. Anything that does not qualify finished is unfinished. So this turned out to be fairly clear. I went to several national standards and NCD 765, nationally adopted residential measuring standard, for example. But it's clearly stated, the so-called, they use the term GLA. I think listeners are more familiar to the terms than we do. GLA includes only finished above grade area measured by exterior dimensions. Finished requires completed wall, floor, and ceiling suitable for year-round use. And of course, there's the slope ceiling areas, much specific ceiling height rules. But in our case, as is recorded, I think there's no question about that, recorded in the property record card, for example, T2S, the 3/4 story, never completed. TC 90, I think 90% no flooring, 50% bare steps. So this is clear, and that is unfinished area. What does this mean? Above grade GLA depends on being finished. The standard NC defines above grade finished square footage as the sum of finished areas on levels entirely above grade. If the space isn't finished per the definition, it cannot enter above grade GLA. This different square footage count of GLA significantly changes the comparables. The comparables used to justify that reassessment, I think it no longer applies. The square footage is significantly smaller, so that also constitutes a strong argument. I think it's just legally very clear. They're unfinished, and if we compare with other properties, it has to be comparable regarding the finished area. Finally, I think there are a couple of facts that's recorded in the property record card that the house is next to highway and there's noise and everything. It's also I don't know whether this is a new evidence, but it's also in the flood zone that materially is affected by downward. It's on FEMA website. You check the new list. And final thing, I think it's open. It's known in Norwich town that the once Hamlock Road had a significant problem that costed $700,000 to fix it. It took place in June and July, 2 months. Our cars couldn't go in and out. And the assessment at the time was in April. So when it was reassessed, it probably reflected on the kind of the uncertainty of the road and whether it could be fixed or not, and how long and, you know, what would it take? So all these are, just to say, the facts, we put it in the property. Also, you know, even if the road is fixed now, it's repaired. The reassessment took place in April, and that had that kind of significant downward factors impact the value of the property. And that reflecting in the property record card, but not considered in the reassessment.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that's the final point, and thank you for you to consider this.
Thanks. Do the listers have any comment?
Yes, we do. Once again, the inspection report does not, comment on land in any particular way, which maybe there were no, significant topography notices that, you know, when you went there, mentioning that. Secondly, the purchase of this property occurred, for the 550,000, when the assessment was at 462.5, and that was at 2016 values, as we all know. And there's been a townwide reappraisal that adjusted based on sales for a 3-year period, the land tables and the building cost tables were updated to 2025 values as well. During the time of the purchase, there was an issue on Hemlock Road that may have well impacted the asking price because it was hardly accessible. I don't know if all of you are aware of that, but there was a limitation on the accessibility out there. It's got washed out, and the road has completely been rebuilt. It's lovely. And so we're just pointing out that perhaps the location adjustment on the first site acre may have been impacting the ability to purchase the property at that time. Not sure, but just for your consideration during deliberation.
Anything else? Any more questions from our crowd? Then I would like a motion to approve the site inspection report. Anyone? Fran makes a motion, I'll second it. All those in favor? Aye. Inspection report has been received. We are going to end the session. We'll go into a deliberative session and you'll get something in writing within 15 days with our decision. Thanks.
So much.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Reconvene the Kitchel hearing on October 6th at 5:54 PM. Who would like to present the Kitchel report?
I can read it into the record if you want me
Sure, go ahead.
to. Okay. This is the site inspection report for Kitchel at 597 Sugartop Road, parcel ID 14-026.000. The inspection committee was David Krimmel, Alix Manning, Lily Tryman, and Priscilla Vincent. The inspection committee was accompanied by Davis Kitchel, the owner. There were no listers present. The inspection committee, do you want to pass out? the last page of that, so you can read along if you want. The inspection committee visited 597 Sugar Top Road on Thursday, September 25th at 4 p.m. The subject property contains a two-story contemporary house constructed in 1981 and sited on 109.2 acres. The house consists of 9 rooms, 1 full bath, 2 3/4 baths, and 1 half bath. There are wood floors throughout and a slate entryway. The basement has concrete flooring. The primary source of heat is a pellet stove that uses a forced hot water system. In addition to the main house, there is a 24 by 50-foot shed and a 20 by 12-foot lean-to. There is a narrow, long-range view from one of the upper bedrooms and the living and dining room. Approximately 24 acres of the property are under a conservation easement through the Upper Valley Land Trust that restricts its use to agricultural or forestry pursuits, although creating trails for walking, biking, skiing, and horseback riding is permitted. The 24 acres included in this easement are the farthest back from the road access point to the property and abut the U.S. Forest Service lands and the far end of the Wiggins property.
Questions from the BCA? There are none. Do you have anything to add?
There, I think all but 4 acres are in, current use. Well, this has like, building restriction. And it also requires us, to keep the land, to keep it in current use, we've got a forestry plan, which requires us to do, logging, et cetera, in our plan.
So how many acres would you say either isn't incorporated under the deed or under current use?
It'd be about 104, 105 acres are in conservation.
So you're saying there's 1 acre around the house that isn't 4 acres?
400 land.
Listers?
Yes, to that point, the property record card will reflect at the bottom under land what acres are in current use. That is separate and apart from any discussion about an easement. The current use is a program that the state runs and, as is mentioned, requires a property owner to enroll and maintain the property accordingly. And they have a reduced assessment on their tax bill for the current use program. Separate from that, the listers have for you today a memo that I'll give to the chair. This memo lets you know that the listers has brought the 70% reduction for the easement on the adjacent property to the select board for an error admission and was approved. And so there is no longer a reduction on that property for that conservation easement.
That's the Wiggins property.
So the Wiggins property has a conservation easement, but they're no longer getting a discount for that. Is that what I'm understanding?
The appraisal firm put a reduction on the property erroneously for a 70% reduction onto the Wiggins property, and the lister determined that to be an error, and we brought that to the select board, and the select board approved the removal of that 70% reduction. So there is no longer that existing.
So no reduction exists now.
That's correct.
Okay.
They are in current use also and have a large current use reduction for their property, which is legit.
Okay.
Not impacted by that 70%.
Gotcha. Any other questions and or comments? Well, okay then. Motion to accept the inspection report. Suzanne makes a motion, Dave seconds the motion. All those in favor? Inspection report received. we're going to adjourn to deliberative session, and we will issue a written statement to you within 15 days with our decision. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Do you guys want to come around to this side, so we're